Welcome to Movie and a Beer, everybody. This is Dan Kapersky. We'd like to first introduce our wonderful co-hosts that we have for this wonderful Ted Lasso episode.
I'm Blake. I'm an American podcast expert, but I don't know anything about British podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm Randall, and that's a very British name, right?
Randall, yeah, isn't it?
Randall, ain't it? We watched this show called Ted Lasso that was on Apple TV, and it took us a few tries to watch it all because it's 10 episodes.
10 episodes, minimum 30 minutes each. For busy adults, it's tough to squeeze a whole season in one sitting.
Yeah.
Definitely. There was a couple secret episodes that IMDb said that exist, but we can't seem to find them.
Yeah, it was like 3.2 and
3.1.
3.1 or something like that.
When I get a chance, I'll put in the Konami code, and that might
Release
get
them.
them for us. Yeah,
Yeah, there
or
you go.
Infinite Lives, which I wouldn't be opposed to.
Do it.
Okay, so we had a
down,
number.
left, right.
We did a couple of different, like I said, 3 different sittings to watch Ted Lasso, and we had a number of different beers. But we're going to focus on this first part of the episode on a couple of good British beers that we had called Fuller's, London Pride, and ESB. So we'll talk about those in a little bit. But first, we're going to basically give you the rundown on Ted Lasso, which for those that do drink tea, it's kind of like, you know, what I thought brown water would taste like.
Brown water.
Hot brown
I hate
water.
it, and it's horrible.
I love tea.
Yes.
Well, you got the British name, don't you?
Oh, right. That's exactly why I love tea.
You're not allowed to like tea unless you have a British name.
All right, so Jason Sudeikis, if that's how you say his name, Sudeikis,
Sudeikis.
an amazing actor. These episodes are not kid appropriate either.
Let's get that
they
E
have a lot
rating.
of foul language. We made the mistake and learned that the hard way. It's like, oh wait, no, this is not kid friendly.
Well,
Lots of F-bombs.
The premise of the show is an American football coach coming over to England to teach football, soccer, and those guys the Brits don't say the F word or the C word; they just say it. They'll just drop fucking. I'm not saying the other one.
Yeah.
But a wanker. Let's drop it.
And the kid asks, "Hey, Daddy, what's a wanker?" Because his family comes to visit him later on in the season, and he has to try to explain, which is a really good explanation. A man who wants to be alone with his thoughts.
So appropriate.
And
We're all shaking our heads going, "Oh my
and
God."
that lovely Southern
So
accent.
appropriate.
Well, son, it's a man who likes to be alone with his thoughts.
So it's interesting. I initially, because it says, okay, he came from Kansas, but I think he's actually not.
He might be Midwestern
Yeah,
to
southern. I mean, it's almost like an Oklahoma.
I would say Oklahoma.
I mean,
That
really,
would get
really
him toward-
southern Kansas kind of thing.
Yeah, that'd get him into Kansas, being from Oklahoma.
Yeah, it sounded real southern though.
I've never been to Kansas. Have you guys been to Kansas?
Yes.
I have not.
Do they have beer there?
They do.
I would
They
assume
there.
so.
What's the good beer in Kansas?
That would be Boulevard Brewing, which
Ooh.
is they distribute across the U.S. and they're actually pretty good. They do a variety of stuff.
Is that Kansas City?
Yes, Kansas City, Kansas.
Birthplace of anybody?
Barbecue.
Jazz.
It is. Yes.
You mean Yaz with a soft J?
Same thing.
Yes. Yes.
Anywho,
We're digressing because there's a lot to talk about, and we're trying to figure out how we even want to start talking about it. So, Blake, why don't you run us down some of the episodes? Give us some synopsises.
Yeah. AFC Richmond has recently come into
What's an AFC Richmond?
an excellent question I don't have the answer to.
It
It's part
is-
of soccer.
Is that what they call their names of soccer teams out there?
I
They
don't know what
like
the A.
Falcons
I don't
or
know what the A stands
Jets.
for, but FC stands for football club. And it could be Association Football Club or something like that. I don't know.
The proper names, very proper names in England for all these
Yes.
football
Yeah.
clubs.
I mean, and so it takes place in the British or Barclays Premier League. It's called the Premier League.
yeah.
Not the Champions League. The Champions League is below the Premier League, which is really weird and frustrating and confusing for people.
Is that like the NBA
Yes.
and the CBA?
And yes,
and
the B League,
WNBA?
the B League and the D League,
Gotcha.
and the leagues that the players play in when they get injured to practice,
You're
or
expecting
when
me
you're
to-
older and you're not that good.
You can't expect me to learn all this stuff and about beer. There's
I know,
too
it's
many
too much.
things going on.
The fact you just hit me with that knowledge, Dan, is new to me. Today I learned the Champion
So
League is for
much.
injured players to get their muscles back.
Oh,
So you get relegated. The bottom 3 get relegated,
Yeah.
and the top 3 from the lower league get promoted. So it's a point-based system, unlike American sports, which don't have anything like that.
wait a
There is
second.
no relegation
Are you saying
in
that
American
the
sports.
Champion League is lower than the Premier League?
Yes,
That makes no sense.
it doesn't, but that's how it is.
If you're a
So-
champion, you're
well, that's what
Maybe
they
it's
call it in England.
alphabetical, because C is lower than P.
That's in England. That's not the UEFA Champions League, which is the top 4 teams of every league of the top leagues across all European countries.
I'm confused.
Yes, it gets really confusing because they're called the same thing, but they're completely different.
Anywho,
Yeah.
Rebecca Welton is the new owner of what were they called? The Richmond. I don't.
Just messing.
It doesn't say it here. All right, cut this out. I'm mad at Dan now.
All right.
No, the new owner who got it from her husband in a divorce wants to take revenge on her husband by sinking the team. It's very similar to Major League, the baseball movie where
Correct.
the former owner's wife wants to ruin it. So the best way to do
Spoiler alert,
that,
dude. I haven't seen that yet.
it's from the 80s and 90s.
Come on, man.
What?
Well, get on
really?
it. Watch more bad movies.
Wow.
Sorry, Willie Mays Hayes is worth it. Anyway, we're not talking about baseball. We're talking about soccer, football, football. So to sink the team, she brings over who would be the worst to run a soccer team, an American football college coach.
Who knows nothing of soccer?
Yeah, literally. Later in the season, he asks the referee, "What was with that?" No, seriously, why would you do that? I don't understand. So Rebecca Welton brings over the titular Ted Lasso, who, as we've mentioned before, knows nothing about actual football, European football, in an attempt to ruin the team. But Ted comes from college football, where half the goal isn't, part of the goal is winning. The other goal is to raise these young men and make sure they get on a good path to be decent humans down the road.
He's like their dad.
Yeah. He's their football stepdad.
Oh.
And there's actually kind of a true story that back in 1999, the Chester City Football Club hired Terry Smith, who was an American football coach. And that was kind of the spinoff that then led to this Ted Lasso character was actually a made-up character on ESPN to kind of comment on British soccer.
When was that?
1999?
The 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
It's when we were partying like it was that year.
Yeah.
It was a good year. Good year for football, I guess.
Yeah, so she's trying to kill the team, and she brings this guy over who brings an assistant with him who is, he's kind of weird. He's kind of funny, but he's kind of weird.
The actor is Brendan Hunt. He's been in other stuff where he's playing kind of a weirdo, but here he plays the typical assistant coach, just arms crossed, doesn't say much.
He knows everything.
He knows how the actual sport of football is played.
They're sort of an odd couple, Ted and Beard.
I couldn't really tell if they were a couple or not, because initially it kind of plays off that way. It's like they know each other
initially
really
it
well.
does,
They
but
know
yeah.
it, but they're
Like
not.
a work husband.
Kind of. So if you're offended by people without their shirts on, like men without shirts, don't watch this series because every episode has a lot of men running around without shirts on in the locker room.
Which, it's a locker room. That's what they do.
Yeah.
I was highly offended.
Yes, but you also don't have to know anything about soccer or football, as it
You
were.
really don't.
They explain the sport some. Ted asks obvious questions like, how's that offsides? And it has to be explained to him because he doesn't understand what offsides is.
Soccer is more the backdrop to the interpersonal drama between all the characters.
Yeah.
Rebecca, Ted, Trent Krim of The Independent.
Yes,
The hard-boiled reporter that's trying to sink Ted.
correct.
The captain of the team, Roy, Jamie, the up-and-coming star. It's really, if you like characters, this is a really good show.
This show is about almost anybody but Ted Lasso, I think.
It is. It uses his logic
He grows the least.
and management skill and style. He has to come to grips. I mean, the character settles more than learns. He has to settle for what he's now in and what he's doing. He doesn't want to settle, and that's the problem.
Right.
He can't accept it because he's going through divorce and it sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
That's right. That comes up fairly early.
He's at the center of the show, but he changes the least, I think. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a problem for future seasons, I think.
I think so too.
Of the
It's
first...
going to be like The Office, where, they got rid of Michael eventually, and it,
Yeah.
the show still worked, but, I mean, they had to get rid of him. Like, he just wanted to stop playing it, right?
Yeah.
And
And
I
thank
think-
goodness we got stuff like the wrestling movie where he plays that awful coach. We got The Big
Oh my
Short.
gosh. I think this is going to take an Office turn eventually. I think eventually this show is going to be so amazing, but he's not going to want to play Ted Lasso forever. Can you imagine having to play this character for like 7 seasons?
He only played 10. It was only 10 episodes so far. Plus his bits. Whereas
True.
Network television, you do 22 to 24 episodes a season.
But they're shorter shows, right? So it's like, is it really 22 episodes?
They're
or
shorter,
like
but they're filming
14?
longer overall.
Yeah, filming over a longer period of time.
So out of the characters, I think
It depends.
you learn a lot. And I think the Leslie Higgins character, the director of football operations, who was the
Yes.
gopher for the previous owner.
Oh,
and
he's great.
the wife the now ex-wife kept him on. I don't know why she did that, because she should have fired his ass.
She probably thought he was incompetent and thought also help sink the team.
Yeah, well, this is true. But he didn't.
And in the writer's room, he's a great character.
He is. He's pretty amazing. He grows a lot, and you learn a lot about him on the backside after he later on in the series he takes a hiatus, and you learn a lot about him in that hiatus.
We're going to talk a lot about that facial hair. But anyway, now we get to see Ted kind of get a feel for the team, try his tried and true down home folksy wisdom with Jamie's. He's a jerk, but there's a specific word I'm trying to capture.
Yeah.
He's just too big for his britches, kind of.
Yeah, he's very ego driven, and he's driven because he was brought up in. So I think they have them here in the U.S. They have club teams. So you have, I guess here in America, it's your college students those are the club teams for the pro sports.
Yeah.
It's where you learn how to play the game. And then before that, it's high school and whatever. They don't have college sports or sports in general in schools. They may have soccer teams that you can practice with, but they don't have leagues and stuff as far as I know. You have to join a private gym, or you have to get involved with a club team. And Jamie came up through the club system, so he'd always been around. There was an expectation he was going to be the best striker, and that gives you very ego forward. You learn that he's really fragile on the inside. His walls come crumbling down pretty fast, and he doesn't know how to cope at all. Keely Jones, who he's dating, played by Juno Temple.
She's great.
Is one of the better actresses in this. She is very true to form.
She's so
throughout
authentic.
the whole thing. And she admits freely, she's like, I started out dating younger men who are footballers when I was young, and I'm still dating young football players now in my 30s. And the kind of epitome of it is like, well, maybe you should try dating an older footballer because you're still involved in it, but try to find somebody who's at least, a little more mature.
Yeah.
Which plot spoil happens.
Another nice point about the show is Ted gets to, meet the team, and he wants to meet every single person as a head coach wants to do. You get to meet all these amazing characters. I don't have the names pulled up immediately, but we get a guy whose catchphrase is, "I love football. I love it. I love it so much."
It's Danny Rojas.
Yeah, Danny Rojas just knocks up. He's just so enthusiastic, which works well with Roy's cynicism. And for the sport, an old man. I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah, if you're over 28 in British soccer, you're considered old.
Yeah, granddad.
Because you've been playing for a decade. Because most of them start at 18 or younger. And they do have under 21 and under 17 leagues for the younger players to get practice at the professional.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Here in the States, the soccer teams also have that. You don't see them on TV, whereas in Europe you do, because they're really good.
So I would say synopsis, episodes 1 through 5. I think they're kind of about Jamie.
They're about Jamie.
And Roy.
They're about Jamie and Ted getting used to, Ted never doesn't do anything different the first 5 episodes.
No, he doesn't.
Later,
Not until they lose Jamie that his character is starting to shift a little bit.
Yeah, you see expansion on his moods, on the acting range that Sudeikis has later. But the first 5, he keeps it pretty, very Oklahoma happy.
Yeah, he does some real typical coach things where he gets he shows up with all these handwritten signs like believe, and you have to touch it when you walk through the doorway because you have to believe.
Walking in real casual with his hands in his pockets. All right, gang. What are we feeling today? We also get one of the great quotes, be a goldfish.
Yes.
For the actor Toheeb Jamo, who plays Sam Obasanya.
Yeah, Sam's the young Nigerian guy.
Yeah, he's the youngest player,
Yeah,
or at least one of the newer ones.
He's one of the newer ones. They brought him in, and he just he has no self-confidence. So.
No.
But Nate is also my favorite,
No, I love.
He's great. Nate's great.
I love Nate. Poor guy's just, every time Ted treats him well, he's like, "What?
What
You know my name? Well, of course I know your name."
Whereas no one else does. They just like picking on him.
Which is that a thing? I don't know how much you know about the behind the scenes of soccer. Is that a thing where they're all jerks, or that's just written up for the show?
I think that's written up for the show. I'm sure that
feels
there are professionals.
Bill Lawrence of Scrubs and Cougar Town and something else is real great with making characters very like very specific, archetypal. Like with Scrubs, you get like the new Doctor, the new you get every character, and you know exactly what they're going to do. Which in Ted Lasso, you still get, even though I know nothing about soccer except they kick a ball and it goes for 90 minutes plus.
So what are your thoughts on the now you don't meet him until later on, but the Anthony Head's character, Rupert. Now you hear about him throughout the first part of it, but about midway through is when you first get to meet him.
The X?
Yeah.
He shows up pretty early. He's involved in the whole Robbie Williams debacle
Oh,
in
yeah,
episode 3.
yeah. He's a total jerk.
4.
Anyways, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 4.
He's a total jerk.
Yeah, he's he plays the rich older white guy who's not used to not getting his own way very well. Very smarmy, but on the surface, very charming guy. If you can't give him money, he's not gonna really keep it fun.
Has that actor been in anything interesting? He seems familiar, but maybe I'm just
Anthony Head.
Anthony Head, yeah. What's he been in?
I can tell you.
British Ted Knight.
British Ted Knight.
Sell AFC Richmond.
He's been in a lot of British film and TV shows.
That's another thing I really liked about
show. A lot of good actors.
That's a big thing I've been praising about this show is there's 2, maybe 3 American actors, and the rest are like they legit British actors. I don't mind American actors putting on a British accent and playing British, but they got legitimate British actors to play British footballers.
Yeah, and
they even filmed it.
Yeah.
In England.
Yeah, it's totally done in London. He was in
how
about
expensive that was.
He was in about 22
wasn't cheap.
films and about 60 different TV shows.
Very cool.
He's been in a lot of TV.
Good for him.
That's totally cool. No, I recognized him right away. I was like, oh yeah, that guy. Fun stuff. So tell us the specifics. Like, what was your favorite out of the first couple of episodes? Because we're having to remember back when we watched them. So Ted shows up. He gets introduced to the team. He gets led around the pitch. He starts. I think during the second one, he helps the guy from Nigeria who's homesick become less homesick. Birthday party.
Has the whole team throw a birthday party to help the team spirit go on. And look at these. There's a lot of good ones. I think Trent Krim, the Independent episode 3, where Rebecca Six Trent Krim, a known hard reporter who will ask baity questions, because British newspapers are gross.
They are.
They are really rude and invasive, and he's very good at it in a classy way. But Ted just charms them. They go to an Indian restaurant or Ethiopian restaurant maybe and order way too spicy food.
So they went because the cab driver that first picked Ted up, his dad owns that restaurant and invited him to the restaurant. And Ted, being from a small town, is like, oh, you get invited by the owner? Hell yeah, I'm going.
Yeah. It's so good. And Trent doesn't write a little small spoiler alert. Trent writes a relatively positive article about Ted Lasso, which is not what Rebecca planned.
Yeah. And
this hard-nosed, mean reporter watches this American who can't handle curry suffer through the spiciest food he's ever eaten.
Yeah.
So that might be my favorite.
Randall, your favorite out of the first few?
I think my favorite's probably the opening. I mean, I loved how they introduced him.
It's so good.
I loved they throw you they don't waste your time with what happened. Like, how did this guy get here? It's like 5 seconds in the beginning. This guy going to England, going to be the gaffer of a major football team, and they just throw you right in, and you instantly fall in love with almost every character that comes on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, for the audience, I'm watching it again, and it's not as funny.
Because you already heard all the jokes.
I heard all the jokes, and I'm afraid for Ted Lasso. I'm afraid for this series that season 2 is just going to be like, oh gosh, they just couldn't recapture the magic. Yeah, because he's not going to be a character that changes a lot. It's a neutral change arc.
Maybe he'll change in the second season.
Maybe he'll change, but then I think if he changes, or if they try to do something with him, I think it's going to lose a lot of the magic.
So are we ready to talk? Do you have a commercial for us, or we just want to jump into the beers?
I got a commercial after you tell us your favorite episode, Dan.
I did just say my favorite episode. It was the. Now you're going to make me go back and look. Number 3,
yeah.
Or not number 3. No, it was number 3. The independent one. Yeah, it was the same one.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's because Dan and I are best friends.
And I just for some reason thought I said it, and I didn't. But yeah, no, it's a good episode. You get to learn a lot about Ted, more so in his teaching methodology and why he loves to coach, which is important.
Yeah, tying into that and what Randall said, I like that this show hits you with the premise and then explains why he's there later.
Right.
Over the course of the 10 episodes.
You don't need to know why.
Yeah.
Just
don't
make me
front
laugh.
load it.
Yeah.
Don't lore dump. That's a D&D term.
And it completely enrages Rebecca. Like, she gets really furious because she's like, oh, it's just going to tear him down and the team's going to get pissed and blah, blah, blah. No, it actually turned out really well, and it kind of helped him solidify his standing with the teammates.
All the characters just feel really real, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
Wait, so are you saying there's no collegiate soccer in England or in Europe? There's no like collegiate
they don't
soccer
have
system?
college, right?
There's
They
no
have
colleges.
university.
There's no
So,
universities.
yeah, so
it's
it's
all
primary.
Okay.
It's private school
So
or private club.
To
driven.
compare soccer in Europe
To be fair.
to football
fighting really
to
hard.
American professional football here isn't quite right.
Correct.
It's more like college football here is the equivalent to
Yes.
what's happening.
Pretty much, especially with
Gotcha.
the top
Okay.
like 10.
Yeah, that makes
like
sense.
Alabama and all those ones that like the whole community just die hard that
I'm
team.
totally just seeing European football in a new light.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
It's a lot different. And that's why it's the only sport, because they can't afford to have multiple sports, nor do they have the space for it.
Right?
No, they do
Wow,
not.
my mind.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And that's why
I always thought it was like pro football, pro soccer over there, whatever. Right?
No,
That's fair. That's
not
fair.
at all.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, if you Google like how many football or how many soccer teams are there in England, like
Yeah.
for all
Your
levels,
computer explodes.
it will explode. There's like 3,000. It's insane. There's you can, regardless of your skill level, like here in Portland, I have friends who play intramural, and I guess that would be the equivalent. We don't get paid to play, we play for fun, and then you get paid a little bit of money. In the leagues that you play in are regional and not national level, and then you just step up from there. It's just the ability and the skill level, and for those players that are older, they step down to the other leagues or they go to the U.S., which is definitely
They
brought
dominate.
Yeah, they really
up.
dominate.
They dominate the hell out of us because
They dominate, don't they?
Thousands of leagues, and we're only going to talk about 2 beers.
2 beers.
Two
But
beers.
first,
After
commercials.
2 beers.
Commercials, Blake.
Now, we all know the secret ingredient to Ted Lasso's success. Jason Sudeikis is a titular character. I had it written down. But the first season is over, and we're languishing in a Ted Lasso-less world. Life has no meaning anymore. Why even get out of bed to watch Hulu or Netflix or Apple Plus or whatever streaming service we have? Well, stop belly aching, you whiner. We have Ted Lasso spin-offs. Next up for Ted Lasso is when he becomes a chess trainer in The Lasso's Gambit. After that 4-episode miniseries, we'll watch Lasso travel to India and take up the king's sport known as cricket. After following a single game of cricket in real time, that 30-episode run will give way to Ted Lasso vs. Godzilla. Watch a lovable Kentucky native charm a 50-story nuclear lizard with homemade baked goods. Ted Lasso, he's never going away.
All right, this is a movie to beer coming back at you. Thank you for those commercials. We're going to now briefly talk about some beers that we enjoyed while watching Ted Lasso. As I explained to the co-hosts, there is this thing called Fuller's Beer, which has been around and is prominent in every pub in London. And they have 2 that were primarily exported and brought here to the U.S. One is called London and Pride, and the other is ESB. ESB meaning extra special bitter. That doesn't mean that it's bitter. It just means it's more bitter than the other one.
Which tricks me every single time I see it. I don't know why.
I don't
it's
get
just,
it.
It's a weird mental block. I just can't grasp it.
So Fuller's officially started around 1845, but it actually existed before that in the early 1800s. The guy's father actually owned a brewery and ran it, and he changed the name to Fuller's, and that's when it came about.
Nice.
But I told the guys there's a red and a blue one. The red is the London Pride and the blue. So if you see a Fuller sign that's either red or blue background, that'll tell you what beer they serve there primarily on tap. And it's all CO2 driven. It's you can find it on cask or on a beer engine. Beer engine beer in London, cask beer is always going to be close to room temp and not carbonated. So people say, "Oh, I don't like it. It tastes like crap." Well, it's not American beer.
It's not supposed to, you dummy.
It also tastes even better when you're over there in the pub watching Irish soccer hooligans.
That's true. You know where the
carry a
best
man
Guinness in
around
the
while
world
singing.
is? It's in Ireland, and it's not because they make it different. It's because you're drinking Guinness in Ireland. Mm-hmm. That's what makes Guinness good.
And it's not exported.
And
As someone who...
but even still, I think it tastes the same.
Yeah.
Maybe.
When it's context is everything.
It is.
As someone who bases his beer choices on the weather, I second this.
Yeah. I mean, no problem drinking a Guinness in Ireland.
Now, Fuller's does have a full lineup and variety and styles of different beers, from porters to a winter ale to a London porter, which is different than a traditional porter. I've had the Fuller's 1845. I've seen that here in the States. They do like a honey mead and I believe a few other things.
Ooh, I'd love to try the honey mead. I've had mead once, and I was.
But the London
Not
Pride,
mad at it.
the London Pride's the red label, the ESB's the blue, and literally, I told the guys, and the cool thing is the pub that is like right around the corner from, or in the same building Ted is renting space in his room. They have a big red Fuller sign above, like the entrance, and I was like,
it's legit, isn't it?
it is very legit, and they don't even have to ask for what kind of beer when they go there. They just say, "Can I get a pint?" Because they only have like two beers on
only have
draft,
2 beers.
and they're going to assume you want one of those 2 beers, and if you don't like it, it doesn't matter because they taste pretty close to
And
each
guess
other.
what? Even if you ask for something else, they're going to bring you whatever they got.
A pint of
That's-
exactly. I kid you not, that
You
happens.
try to order something weird and strange, they're not going to listen.
They're going to look at you funny,
They're
and at
gonna
least
bring you something.
I love that because I hate having choice with my beers, and I would love to just walk up, like in TV shows, go, let me get a beer, and they just give you whatever they have.
I mean, when I
Yes,
was younger
please.
and I was a waiter, and you bring the wrong food to somebody at the table, they usually eat it. They don't. No one cares.
Yeah.
Really?
I think we're only in Portland, Oregon. Are we so snobby about beers? I think we're a little snobby.
I can
about
tell you
beers.
Winchester, Virginia's got some Karens
Really?
running around.
Yeah.
I go to New York and people don't know the difference between a IPA and a
they don't.
FFI. They don't know. You bring them something, they're going to drink it.
Yeah. So briefly about the London Pride Pale Ale, it's going to have like dried fruit raisiny,
That was good.
biscuit dry, so it's going to little dry the tongue a little bit. Which there was a funny phrase about eating something called a scone, which dries out your mouth, sucks every bit of sweat out or spit out of your mouth.
Biscuit dry. What a great way.
Yeah, it's kind of rich and smooth on the mid, and then it just drops nicely. It just lingers a little bit, but it's very balanced. It's the little bit of bitterness that's there marries
I
up
loved it.
nicely with a little bit of sweetness that's there, and it's just this really nice kind of amber ale.
It was really good.
That's why I like it. Just you don't have to think really hard about what you're drinking. Just sip, sip.
Is it
I'm enjoying the
expensive
show.
out here? Is it expensive?
No, not really. It's just hard to find.
It's hard to find.
Yeah.
But I really liked it.
Yeah, the other one, the ESB, which we each had a bottle of, the Fuller, the London Pride, we
Yeah.
only had one bottle. That's all I could find. We had to split that 3 ways, so we were just like, damn it,
So,
so good.
would you say it's hard to find, isn't it?
isn't it? Yes, the
I
ESB.
lost my mind when I discovered they actually say that over there. I
They
thought it was
do.
made up for movies.
I believe the Oxford Dictionary defines "idn't" as a proper word.
Really?
I believe they do.
How dare
you could
you.
look that up.
How dare you, Randall?
Hey,
I
mean,
hey,
it's the
internet.
Oxford Dictionary.
This is the Nick Cage died thing all over again.
So the ESB,
Oh my God, rest in peace.
ESB is a different set of hops, and so it's going to be like grassy, peppery, a little bit of orange marmalade, so like a little dry orange peel pithiness, but on top of that same sweet profile. So you have a little bit more bitterness, but it's still well balanced and has a nice approach to it. It's going to be more, I think, accessible to those that are more hop heads. They're going to be like, oh, this is just a more hoppy or more bitter amber ale than the other.
Pithiness. Can you
I'm
describe that?
pissed off.
So
I'm really pissed off that I don't understand that word.
So if you take a fruit like an orange, a citrus product of some sort, and peel it, the white part that's under the peel before the fruit, the flesh of the fruit is called a pith. Wow. That's where a lot of the
Wait,
bitterness is.
you guys don't eat oranges like apples?
Only
no.
Is this why my jaw hurts all the time?
No, or grapefruit. God, just please try to eat a grapefruit like
man.
that and see how. Yeah,
Oh no, I squeeze grapefruit direct on my eyeballs because I want to suffer.
yeah. So pithiness is a term to use to describe dry,
please.
citrus oriented bitterness
movie and a beer, education every time.
every time.
Every time. It's
Hey.
Despite my best efforts, education every time.
You can find us on the
school.
internet.
Let's open up a beer school.
I ain't learned no nerds.
Dan,
No.
open up a beer school.
That's what the internet's for. Everything we know, we've learned on the internet.
Open up a beer school and make your students brew beer.
Well, that's going to happen at some point, but not right now. That's down the road after I make my millions.
Well, start it here, folks.
All right, so we are going to do a plot keyword beer name game for this episode and part 2. Believe it or not, where there's going to be 2 parts to this episode because there's just way too much to talk about.
There's so much.
We
there's too
want
much.
to really dig into all the character work of Ted
All right,
Lasso.
so
Hey, let's play a quick little game while I pull it up. if Ted, who would play Ted Lasso the worst? Like, pick an actor.
Michael
and be like,
Shannon. He's so intense. He'd get out there and go, "You listen to me. I'm going to teach you how to play soccer. I'm going to cut your heads off."
Oh no,
That's a little extreme, but I'm just taking General
like it.
Zod from Man of Steel.
I like it.
I have one goal, Cal, is to teach soccer to these hooligans.
Oh my god,
And if I don't do it, I'll die.
Mike Myers,
Mike.
The murderer or the actor?
the actor.
There we go.
Oh my god.
I actually wouldn't hate that.
That would be, or like
It would
Ed
be-
Norton. It'd be like horrible. It would be
Ed
like they would have
Norton
to
would be
stretch
the
so
worst.
hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Emma Watson as Ted Lasso.
Okay, here's mine.
Ooh, I'd
Guys,
love to see Emma Watson as
Emma
Ted Lasso.
Watson is Ted Lasso.
Or no, Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
Oh,
She'd
Jared
be so
Leto.
quirky and goofy.
Yeah, she'd be
Yeah.
good. She'd be good. My pick would be for who would play the worst Ted Lasso would be Tom Cruise.
Oh my god.
Wow.
So
he just shows them, here's how you run, and just sprints for an hour.
Somebody on the internet. I know the AI technology can replace faces
Yes.
on actors. Let's see Ted Lasso. Let's see Tom Cruise on Ted Lasso.
I can't picture Tom Cruise with a mustache, though, and the mustache is 90% of the character.
Right? Man. Okay, let's play some beer name game. What's it called? I can't even remember what it's called. Keyword beer name remix.
rename game.
game,
Okay, so
game.
what are we going to do this time? I mean, we've got
Redux.
a couple of
Okay.
varieties.
So
Of
the
approaches.
Fuller is a Fuller. Let me go. I'll go first. Fuller, boring name. Fart sound.
It's the guy's last name.
Fuller. I mean,
You
it's
could say-
boring.
you could say the name's a
I feel
wanker.
full. Oh, this
That
beer
name's
makes
a
me feel
wanker.
full.
I
would
Juan
rename-
Fuller, the one up guy.
In honor of Ted, I would rename that beer because I loved it so much. I would rename it the.
So before you say that, so the beer rename game, we look at IMDb at the
Right.
plot keywords, and you know IMDb has TV shows and movies, and a part of IMDb does include keywords that are entered by the public and then voted on. Like, does this match?
You
or
can
not?
play at
How
home.
relevant is this? Are these
You can
keywords?
play along at home.
Play along at home. Comment on our Instagram.
Cowards.
What
Do
would
it.
be the best made up beer name for Ted Lasso?
Wag the female boss.
Damn it. Dan.
I beat you to it.
Okay. Locker room
Soccer.
soccer match. Locker room soccer match. Would
Are
be
we
the-
playing soccer in the locker room with the balls? Because that,
think
you know,
so,
some people might enjoy that. Most people wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Okay, Blake. Made up beer name for Ted Lasso.
Soccer screwball comedy.
Oh, soccer. What kind of beer is that, Dan?
That'd be a Scottish ale right there.
Scottish ale.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Dan?
Jeez, the F word footballer.
It actually says just F word.
The
On
the
IMDb.
winking footballer.
If you're
You could get away with that too, because it means different things to different people in different
oh
languages.
my god. If
Americans don't know what wanker is.
we need to somehow update these keywords because there's not a lot to choose from. They're all soccer.
We need to spam. We have to spam it.
Soccer.
I refuse to get an IMDb account, but fans get an IMDb account and spam it with other words in the show.
We're coming back for a part 2, folks. Don't forget.
Correct.
I already forgot, so don't.
Damn it! We need new keywords. For
Yeah.
part 2.
Maybe we'll
Well,
come
no,
up with our own.
that's why I just did the few.
We'll come up with our own keywords for the next game.
Okay.
Because these are obviously not going to change between now and then.
little preview of mine. It's just gonna be the word in it with the question
it.
mark at the end.
So Ted Lasso, an amazing show. Can't wait for season 2.
Yes.
These beers were damn good.
Yeah.
Very tasty.
The first part of Ted Lasso, all about Jamie, in my opinion.
Yep.
But we're going to come back for
He
a
was
second
planting
episode.
seeds for other characters.
Planting
Yes.
seeds.
Yes.
Exactly. But there's some unexpected things that happened in the second half of the season that really blew my mind.
Like when
about-
Godzilla showed up.
Stop it. Damn it. No, I said no spoilers.
So we shouldn't talk about how Thanos also snapped and half the Premier League went away.
Right.
Or when we actually got to watch Ted Lasso watching Black Widow.
Which brings me to an important announcement that stay tuned for our next episode where we review Black Widow.
Before its July 9th release.
Yeah.
They have a date now.
Again?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll see. Disney,
Yeah.
you meh,
Yeah, whatever.
Thanos snapped and
Yeah.
we got COVID.
Yes.
perfectly balanced as all
And
things
then
should
we
be. You have
lost
to
the
stay
Black
inside. You can't watch.
we lost the Black Widow just like that.
Son of a bitch.
All right. So
no.
thanks for listening, everybody. We really do appreciate and hydrate or
Oh, sorry.
Have fun
Hydrate.
editing this one.
Yes, have fun watching it. Spread it out. Don't watch it all in once because I mean, if you do watch it all at once, it makes more sense. But we spread it out and had some love with it.
It was a great show.
So, as always, the opinions expressed during the taping of this episode are those of the hosts. And hang in there. Look us up on the Gram and Facebook and our website, movingtobeer.com. Give us a listen. Tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today, and we will talk to you next time. This is Dan signing off.
This is Blake signing off.
And this is Randall, not from England, but from America. So,
All right.